Hello dear students, welcome to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes. I am Amit Ajmani, your science faculty. In the previous lecture, lecture number 2, we studied about work and a bit about energy, talking about kinetic energy, potential energy, etc. In this lecture, lecture number 3, we'll be just talking more about energy and about power. We know that law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another, and whenever energy changes from one form to another, the total amount of energy remains constant, right? This is law of conservation of energy. That means the total energy of this universe is constant. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another, and that process of conversion of energy from one form to another is known as transformation of energy. This is the change of one form of energy into another form of energy. On a regular daily basis, we see so many day-to-day appliances, so many things around us where energy is constantly getting changed from one form to another. Transformation of energy is taking place. Let us try to relate a few examples of it. These are the examples that we need to know. First is hydroelectric powerhouse or hydroelectric power station. What exactly happens here is the potential energy of water is transformed firstly into kinetic energy and then into electrical energy. How? We know that hydroelectric powerhouses are a kind of reservoirs where water is stored at some height. Now, due to this height, this water gains potential energy. When this water is allowed to fall, then the falling water gains motion. That means now it will be the kinetic energy possessed by water. And when this flowing water having great kinetic energy strikes the blades of this water wheel or turbine, then in that case electricity is produced through a generator. So finally potential energy is converted into first kinetic energy and then into electrical energy. So this is the energy transformation taking place in the hydroelectric powerhouse. Second example is in the case of thermal power plants. Now in thermal power plants, what do? We do is we convert the chemical energy of coal. Coal is used as a fuel. This chemical energy, when coal is burnt, is converted into heat energy. This heat energy is further converted into kinetic and then into electrical energy. This heat energy can be used in order to just boil water, and this water when boiled converted into steam, this steam runs the steam turbine and electricity is once again produced through a dynamo or a generator. So these are the energy changes taking place at a thermal powerhouse. Let us see a few more examples. Electric motor. This electric motor converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. This electric motor is used in so many places in our houses, in our fans, in our coolers, in our juicer mixer grinders, in our washing machines. Everywhere we use electric motor. The motor that with which we pump water, that is also electric motor. What we do is we just simply switch on the button. That is, we provide the electrical energy and this electric motor converts it into mechanical energy. Next is electric generator. In generator, the mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. So we can see that the motor and generator are just opposite to each other. Generator converts mechanical into electrical and motor converts electrical into mechanical. In an electric iron in our houses, what we do is we convert electrical energy into heat energy, due to which we are able to iron our clothes. In an electric heater, we provide electrical energy that is converted into heat energy, with which it generates heat. In an electric bulb, once again, we have to switch it on. That means we provide electrical energy and that is converted into light energy. And actually, this process takes place in two steps. The electrical energy that we have provided, it causes the filament in the bulb to become white hot. And this white hot filament then gives light. So that means electrical energy is first converted into heat energy and then into light energy. Correct? In the case of radios, in radios, they convert electrical energy into sound energy. We can also provide batteries. They also provide electric charge. So it is the electrical energy. If we are not directly switching it on, then in that case, if we are using the batteries, so first of all, it is the chemical energy of the batteries or the cell, which is converted into electrical energy, which in turn gets converted into sound energy. And how exactly it happens? Actually, in a radio set, the electrical energy causes the diaphragm in the speaker to vibrate, and it is this vibration which produces sound. So because first of all there will be vibrations produced, so we can say that the electrical energy is firstly converted into the vibratory motion, that is the kinetic energy, and then finally into the sound energy. Okay. Next example is of steam engine. Now in a steam engine, heat is used to boil water and obtain steam under high pressure, and that turns the shaft and it drives the wheel. So it is the heat energy which gets converted into kinetic energy or mechanical energy. Okay. So this is the transformation taking place in a steam engine. In case of a car engine, we use any kind of fuel like petrol or diesel or CNG. So it converts the chemical energy which was present in that fuel into heat energy, because that fuel is burnt, it is combusted, and finally it is converted into kinetic energy or the mechanical energy with which the car or any vehicle moves. In case of a cell or a battery, this cell or battery contains chemicals. So it is the chemical energy which gets converted into electrical energy. In case of the gas stoves which are used in our houses, we use cooking gas, that is LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. Correct? So this is basically a chemical which is used to produce heat energy. So ultimately a gas stove converts chemical energy of the cooking gas into heat energy. Two more examples. Solar water heater. Now it is a water heater, but it is a solar one. That means obviously it will make use of the sun's light, and it will convert light energy into heat energy. Similarly, solar cells. Whenever we are using word solar, that means they will work on the solar energy. So they convert the light energy into electrical energy. These are just a few examples of energy transformation which are actually a bit important from exam point of view. Otherwise, every day if we look around, one form of energy is getting converted into another. In our body, it is the chemical energy of the food that we have eaten that is converted into muscular energy, and because of that muscular energy we are able to make movements, we are able to move our hands, we are able to move our legs, our body. And at the moment when I am talking to you, teaching you people, it is the same energy of the food, chemical energy, that is getting converted into sound energy with which you are able to listen to me. So every day, every minute, so many types of energy are getting transformed into different types. Right? Now, we have studied about law of conservation of energy, that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another, and during this conversion the total energy remains constant. In order to prove this law of conservation of energy, we will take an example of free fall of a body. Let us take an example of a free falling elastic ball. Right. This free falling elastic ball is initially at this position A, and because it is above the ground level, that is why it has got potential energy, and at the moment the ball is at rest. So if I talk about the kinetic energy of the ball, there is no kinetic energy because the ball is not yet moving. If we take hypothetical figures, for example, if we consider potential energy to be 20 joules, kinetic energy will be 0 joules, then the total energy of this ball at this position A is the sum total of kinetic plus potential, which comes out to be 20 plus 0 is equal to 20 joules. Now, what I'll do is I'll allow the ball to fall down. Now, when this ball is falling down, at position B, there are two things happening. One thing is now the ball is in motion. So now it will have kinetic energy. From where does that kinetic energy come? It came from the potential energy. Why? Because from position A to B, the height has been reduced, because of which the potential energy will be reduced and the difference is converted into kinetic. Once again, with examples later late, that if the potential energy at this point B is 15 joules and now there is some motion in the body, so the kinetic energy is 5 joule and the total energy will be again 15 plus 5 will be equal to 20 joule. As the ball comes down, obviously because of the gravitational pull, it is going to accelerate. That means its speed is going to increase and thus its kinetic energy is going to increase. And because the height is decreasing, so the potential energy goes on decreasing. At point C, the potential energy remains 10 joule and the kinetic has increased, it is 10 joule. Once again, the sum total remains 20. At position D, it will be 5 plus 15. Total remains 20, and the moment the ball strikes the ground, that is the position E, now the height of the ball is 0, because of which the potential energy will be 0, and at this point the kinetic energy will be maximum, and again the sum total will be 20 joules. Now, with this practical demonstration, we can prove the law of conservation of energy both points. Firstly, we saw that when the ball was at some height at rest, it only contained potential energy and there was no kinetic energy. But as the ball keeps on moving down, the moment just before touching the ground, whole of the potential energy has been converted into kinetic energy. So this is the first part of law of conservation of energy, that energy is converted from one form into another, which in this case is from potential energy to kinetic energy. Second part is that during this conversion, the total energy always remains constant, which we can see that throughout the total energy remains 20 joules, which shows that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Even though it has been converted from one form to another, the total energy remains constant, remains the same. So this is the proving of conservation of energy through a free fall of a body. Or we may also be asked, what is the energy conversion in a ball during free fall? So the potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. Another very important question that is normally asked is energy conversion in case of a simple pendulum. We know what exactly is a simple pendulum. It is just a thread or a string and a bob tied to one end, and the string is attached to a particular support where it is free to move. This is a simple pendulum, right? Now, when this simple pendulum is at its normal position A, this is called the center position or the mean position. Okay, what we will do is we will just pull this bob up to a particular height, raise to this height B. This is called the extreme position. Now, because of the height, this bob will now contain potential energy and it is at rest. So therefore there is no kinetic energy at the moment. So at the extreme position, the bob has only potential energy. Now when we allow it to move, we just leave it. We know that the pendulum will go into this particular direction, coming to the center position again, but because of the momentum gained by it, it will go to the other side also to a particular extreme height, that is C. That is also the extreme position, and after reaching there it will again swing back, again reaching to a particular height, again swing back, and so on. This swinging will continue. Now, the energy conversion that we are more interested in knowing is at the extreme position, that is at B and at position C. The bob has only potential energy. There is no kinetic energy whatsoever, because at these positions, when the bob for a fraction of second it will rest, kinetic energy will become zero. And during the whole swinging part from C to A or A to B, B to A or A to C, it will be both potential energy as well as kinetic energy. Why? Because from C to A and B to A, there is some height also and there is some motion also. But exactly at position A, what will happen is there is no height. So just at the position A, because there is no height, the potential energy will be zero and it has only and only kinetic energy. So I repeat, let us try to relate it once again because it has been a bit messy now. So this is the position A, this is the position B, and this is the position C. So at position A, it will be only kinetic energy that will be possessed by the pendulum. At position B and C, it will be only potential energy, no kinetic. And the area between AB and AC, it will be both kinetic energy as well as potential energy. This is the energy conversion in case of a simple pendulum. Right? So this is all about our energy part. I hope you have understood all. So now let us come to the last part of this chapter. What was the name of the chapter? Energy, work and power. So work we have done, energy we have done, and now we'll be discussing about power. Now what exactly is power? When in terms of physics, power is defined as the rate of doing work. The rate at which work is done by a body, that is known as its power. Correct? We can also say that it is the work done per unit time. And we know that the unit of time is second. So we can also say that it is the work done per second. So this is power. As per the formula, power is work done upon time taken. Correct? Now we know that whenever work is done, equal amount of energy is consumed because work done is equal to energy. So instead of using work, we can also use energy, and we can redefine power in a different way. Like power is the rate of, let me come to the part, just a second. Power is the rate at which energy is consumed or utilized by the body. So this is energy consumed per unit time or the energy consumed per second. So power can also be expressed as energy consumed upon time taken. Fine. Now, the power of the object is also defined as the product of force applied to a body and the velocity produced in the body. Power is also equal to F into A. Please try to understand from where it came. In the above formula, we have said that power is equal to work done upon time. And if power is equal to work done upon time, we know that work done is F into S divided by time. S is the distance, T is the time, and what exactly is distance upon time? It is speed or velocity. So distance upon time is speed or velocity. So the power becomes product of, sorry, it's V, F into V, that is force into velocity. Correct? Now, talking about the units of power. The SI unit of power is watt, which is basically joule per second, and it is denoted by capital W, right? Power is a scalar quantity. That means it has got only magnitude and no direction. We have said power is equal to energy or work done upon time. Work done or energy is expressed in joules, time in second, and power in watts. So, if we define 1 watt of the power, then 1 watt is the power of an appliance which does work at the rate of 1 joule per second. It will be 1 joule by 1 second, that will be equal to 1 watt. Correct? And if we talk about energy upon time, then 1 watt is defined as the power of an appliance which consumes energy at the rate of 1 joule per second. So 1 watt is equal to 1 joule by 1 second. This watt is the SI unit, and there are certain bigger units of power just like energy. We have got kilowatt and megawatt. In 1 kilowatt, there are 1000 watts, that is 10 to the power 3 watts, and 1 megawatt is 10 lakh watts equal to 10 to the power 6 watts. Quite importantly, this has been asked many times, there is another unit of power. This is actually the old unit of power, still used at times in a few areas. This is horsepower, HP. And 1 horsepower is equivalent to 746 watts. You need to remember that there are 746 watts in 1 horsepower. It is asked a few times. Important. Okay. Now, one more thing I want you people to remember is the commercial unit of energy. Actually, we have said energy, power is equal to energy upon time. From here we get the formula for energy to be power into time. We know that the SI unit of energy is joules. The bigger units are kilojoule and megajoule. But when we talk about commercial energy, that is the electricity that is supplied to our homes, then a yet another bigger unit is used, that is called the commercial unit of energy. And this is kilowatt hour. Since at the back is hour, so at times students they are confused, sir, hour, it should be time. It's not like that. This kilowatt hour comes from this formula. If power is taken in bigger unit, that is kilowatt, and time is taken in bigger unit rather than second we take hour, then the energy unit becomes kilowatt hour, represented as kWh, right? And what is exactly kilowatt hour? 1 kilowatt hour is the amount of electrical energy consumed when an electric appliance having a power rating of 1 kilowatt is used for 1 hour. So then the electrical energy consumed will be 1 kilowatt hour. Now, one important thing, we know that the SI unit of energy is joule and the commercial unit of energy is kilowatt hour. So what is the relation between these two? Relation between kilowatt hour and joule. 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joules. This is exactly asked that what is the relation between the commercial unit and the SI unit of energy. So first of all, we need to relate that the commercial unit of energy is kilowatt hour. We need to relate the SI unit of energy is joule. Then we have to tell the relationship between the commercial unit and the SI unit, which is 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joules. Right? Now, you must know that 1 kilowatt hour of electrical energy is commonly known as 1 unit of electrical energy. So, if in our houses we have consumed, for example, 560 kilowatt hour of electrical energy, we will say that we have consumed 560 units of electrical energy, and vice versa. If somebody says that the consumption of a particular house in a particular month is 560 units, that means he's saying in terms of kilowatt hour, that the consumption of the house is 560 kilowatt hour. So this is all you need to know about power, and this is the end of our chapter work, energy and power. Let us brush up the chapter very quickly. What exactly we did in this chapter? First of all, we studied about work done. What is work done? The definition, the SI unit, the formula F into S. Then we talked about linear work done. When we talked about linear work done, it was the formula was F into S, where F is the force and S is the distance. Then we talked about the work done against gravity. I'm not writing full because we are just brushing up. We have done all in detail. Against gravity, work done is calculated by the formula mgh. Third thing was when work done was done by a force obliquely. In that case, we have calculated the work done as F into S into cos theta. These are the three types of work done. Then, as per the nature of the work done, we have done the positive work done, we have done negative work done, and we have done the zero work done. Positive work done when the force and motion are in the same direction. Negative work done when the force is in one direction and the motion is produced in just the opposite. And most importantly, zero work done. What are the conditions for zero work done? It is the force is zero, then the work done will be zero, or if there is no displacement, the work done will be zero, or if the force is acting perpendicularly to the direction of motion of the body, even then the work done is called zero work done. So this is all that we studied about work done. Correct? Then after that we talked about the second part of this chapter, that is energy. What is energy? We have seen different relationships between the different units of energy, right? We talked about various types of energy, and among that we discussed mainly kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic energy is the energy due to the motion in a body, represented by the formula half mv square, right? Another formula related to the momentum was kinetic energy is equal to p square upon 2m. Both the formula you need to remember. Potential energy, energy due to height or change in position or shape. Two types, gravitational and elastic, and the formula for calculating potential energy was mgh. Then we studied about the Einstein energy mass relationship, E is equal to mc square. Quite importantly, the factors affecting kinetic energy. Correct? In today's class, we just took up the transformation of energy. We talked about law of conservation of energy. We discussed about many examples of transformation of energy, like in solar cell or in steam engine or in car engine or radio or whatever. We have discussed all. Then we discussed the law of conservation of energy in case of a free falling body, and we discussed the conservation and conversion of energy in the case of a simple pendulum. This is we studied about energy. Next and last, that is power. Power is equal to work done upon time taken, or power is equal to energy upon time taken, one or the same thing. And another formula for power is equal to force into velocity. Right? These are the three formulas. Power is expressed in watt. SI unit is watt. Bigger unit are kilowatt, megawatt, and another unit is horsepower. And we need to remember 1 horsepower is equivalent to 746 watts. This is quite important. Then commercial unit of energy, that is kilowatt hour, and in 1 kilowatt hour there are how many joules? This is 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joules. This is the relationship between kilowatt hour and joule. Kilowatt hour is the commercial unit and joule is the SI unit. So hence it is the relation between the commercial unit and SI unit of energy. And this is all about work, energy and power. First expectation, that you all must have understood whatever is being taught. You have already done all. I have just tried to brush up and try to explain maximum possible, so that even though if you have not done it or if you don't remember, now you should be able to correlate, you should be able to relate. Fine. Second expectation is that now you will be learning all the concepts and definitions and formulas. Why? Because you know that once our chapter is completed, in the next lecture, I'll be discussing the question answers. And in order to take full advantage of them, it's better that you already get prepared, so that when I'll be discussing the question answers, you should already know the answers. And if not, you should be able to relate the correct answers. Correct? So, that is all for today. In the next class, we'll be discussing all the related questions from this particular chapter: work, energy, and power. Study well, do all the parts. We'll meet in the next session quite soon. Till then, take care of yourself and have a great time. Thank you so much again.